"Sir, step away from the animal and put your hands up now. He looks aggressive." The rookie police officer's voice was tight with fear and adrenaline, his taser already drawn and aimed. Retired Gunnery Sergeant Marcus "Gunny" Rohr, 70, had only been trying to shield Valor, his aging black Labrador service dog, who had merely growled softly at the officer's sudden aggressive approach. "He's a service dog, officer. He's trained. Just calm down." But the officer didn't calm down. The taser fired, its barb striking Gunny, who collapsed, his primary concern still for Valor. 5 minutes later, as Gunny lay groaning, the street outside erupted, not with more police, but with the unmistakable, earth-shaking rumble of Marine Corps tactical vehicles forming an iron ring around the entire building. If you believe service animals are lifelines, not threats, and their handlers deserve respect, type "respect" below. Gunnery Sergeant Marcus "Gunny" Rohr, USMC, retired, lived a life defined by quiet discipline and the unwavering companionship of Valor, his black Labrador service dog. At 70, Gunny was weathered, but still carried the indomitable spirit of a Marine. His back was stiff, his gait sometimes unsteady, from old combat injuries sustained over 30 years of service, from the jungles of Southeast Asia to the urban battlefields of the Middle East. Valor, himself an aging warrior with a graying muzzle, was more than a pet. He was Gunny's anchor, trained to assist with mobility, retrieve dropped items, and, most importantly, provide a calming presence against the lingering shadows of PTSD. They were an inseparable pair, often seen on slow, steady walks through their quiet suburban neighborhood, Gunny leaning lightly on Valor's sturdy frame when his balance faltered. Today they were on their way to a routine appointment at a small multi-office commercial building. That housed Gunny's physical therapist. It was a bright afternoon, peaceful. Gunny wore simple civilian clothes, khaki trousers, a polo shirt, and a baseball cap with a faded Marine Corps emblem. Valor wore his clearly marked service animal vest. They were just two old soldiers, man and dog, navigating their day. As Gunny and Valor approached the entrance of the low-rise office building, a young police officer, Officer Miller, was just exiting after responding to a minor unrelated call inside. Miller was fresh out of the academy, eager, jumpy, and perhaps somewhat a little too quick to see threat where none existed. Unbeknownst to Gunny, he was also deeply unnerved by larger dogs due to a childhood incident. When Gunny and Valor neared the doorway, Valor, sensing the officer's sudden appearance and perhaps his nervous energy, let out a single low woof, not aggressive, more of a soft hello or a gentle alert to Gunny. Officer Miller, however, misinterpreted it instantly. He saw a large black dog, heard a bark, and his ingrained fear kicked in, overriding his training. "Whoa! Hold it right there! Control your animal!" Miller shouted, stepping back abruptly, his hand instinctively going to his sidearm before shifting to his taser. Gunny immediately placed a calming hand on Valor's head. "Easy, Valor, it's all right." He then addressed the officer, his voice steady despite the rising agitation. "He's a service dog, officer. He's perfectly trained. Just alerting to your presence. There's no threat." But Miller wasn't listening. His eyes were wide, fixed on Valor, who, despite Gunny's reassurance, now sat a little straighter, sensing the officer's fear. His posture became protectively alert, though still not aggressive. "He looks aggressive to me," Miller yelled, his voice cracking. "Sir, step away from the animal and put your hands up now. Step away." "Officer, please." Gunny tried again. "He's a registered service animal, assisting a disabled veteran. He won't harm you. Just lower your voice. You're agitating him." He started to reach into his pocket for Valor's VA Service Animal ID card. Officer Miller saw Gunny move and panicked. "He's going for something. Non-compliant subject with an aggressive animal," he shouted, more to himself than to Gunny. Without further warning, without attempting de-escalation, without waiting for ID, Officer Miller fired his taser. Two electrified barbs struck Gunny squarely in the chest. The world exploded in a blinding flash of pain for the old Marine. His muscles seized, his legs buckled, and he crashed heavily to the pavement, the impact jarring his already aching hip. Valor, seeing his handler fall, let out a distressed bark and nudged Gunny's face, whining. Then he stood protectively over him, looking toward Miller with a low, worried growl, but making no aggressive move. Miller, still amped up, kept his taser aimed at Gunny, now eyeing Valor warily. "Stay down! Don't move!" Several passers-by and people from inside the office building, drawn by the commotion, stared in shock and horror. Someone started filming with their phone. Gunny lay on the ground groaning, the aftershocks of the taser coursing through him. His primary concern, even through the pain, was for Valor. "Valor, easy, boy." "It's okay," he gasped out. He was dazed, disoriented, and a deep, cold anger burned through the pain. He'd faced enemy fire, IEDs, ambushes, but to be tasered on a suburban sidewalk while explaining his service dog's status felt like the ultimate absurd betrayal. Fumbling for his cell phone, his fingers clumsy from the taser's effects, he managed to unlock it. He didn't call 911. He didn't call a lawyer. He scrolled to a single contact, Sirfi Actual. It was a dedicated emergency line for his old Marine Recon Battalion's Veterans Network, a line that guaranteed an immediate, no questions asked response if one of their own was in dire, unjust trouble. He pressed dial. The call was answered on the first ring, not with a greeting, but a calm. Location and sitrep Gunny. It was Top Rodriguez, his former first sergeant, now running a private security firm, but still the unofficial linchpin of their battalion's old boy network. "Top," Gunny gasped, his voice weak. "Office building, corner of Oak and 7th, tasered. By local PD, Valor's okay, officer's an idiot, thinks Valor's aggressive." "Understood, Gunny." Top Rodriguez's voice turned to ice. "Oak and 7th. Are you injured beyond the taser?" "Hips bad. Took a hard fall." "Roger that. Stay put if you can. Help is en route. ETA under 5. And Gunny, we're coming in hot." The line went dead. Gunny wasn't sure what coming in hot meant here, but he knew Top. When Top said help was coming, it meant the cavalry, Marine Corps style. He lay there, Valor licking his face, the small crowd of onlookers growing. Officer Miller, now keeping his distance, looked increasingly uncertain as he faced an elderly man groaning on the pavement. 2 minutes passed, then 3. The distant wail of a standard police siren approached. 4 minutes. Then a new sound, deeper, more powerful. A sound that resonated deep in Gunny's bones, one he knew better than his own heartbeat. The unmistakable ground-shaking rumble of multiple heavy tactical vehicles. It wasn't just one siren. It was the growing roar of a convoy, and it wasn't coming from the local police station. Officer Miller looked up, his face paling, as the sound grew deafening. From both ends of Oak Street, appearing as if from nowhere, a convoy of Marine Corps. Vehicles, Humvees, MRAPs, even a light armored vehicle, Levi, roared into view, their desert-tanned paint stark against the suburban backdrop. They moved with terrifying speed and precision, lights flashing, though not standard police lights. These were different, more urgent. Within seconds, they had formed an impenetrable 3D perimeter around the entire office building and the section of street where Gunny lay, effectively sealing it off. Marines in full combat utility uniforms, though carrying only sidearms, per stateside liaison protocols, disembarked, taking up calm, disciplined, and utterly intimidating positions. The local police car that had just arrived skidded to a halt, its occupants staring in stunned disbelief at the sudden, overwhelming Marine presence. Officer Miller stood frozen, his taser hanging limply at his side, his jaw slack. This wasn't in any training manual. The rear door of the lead MRAP opened, and a figure emerged who radiated absolute unshakable command. A Marine colonel, his uniform immaculate, his eagle, globe, and anchor insignia gleaming. He strode directly toward Officer Miller, his expression like granite. 2 other Marines, a master gunnery sergeant and a captain, flanked him. "Officer," the colonel's voice was deceptively calm, but it cut through the silence like a razor. "I am Colonel Matthews, United States Marine Corps. I understand you just deployed a taser on one of my retired gunnery sergeants, a combat-decorated Marine who was attempting to inform you about his registered service animal." Miller could only stammer, "Sir, the dog, it was aggressive. He reached for Valor's VA service animal identification, which you clearly failed to request or recognize," the colonel stated flatly. "Valor," he gestured to the Eham Labrador still faithfully by Gunny's side, "is known to half the wounded warrior regiment at Camp Lejeune. He's saved more lives through emotional support than you've likely had hot dinners." He knelt beside Gunny, his expression softening with concern. "Gunny roar, you all right, old man?" "Colonel Matthews," Gunny managed a weak grin touching his lips. "Took you long enough, sir." "Traffic was a bear," Matthews replied. Then his eyes hardened as he looked back at Miller. "While my medical team attends to Gunnery Sergeant Rohr, 2 Marine combat medics were already assessing Gunny. Perhaps you can explain to me and to the city police chief, who is currently en route at my urgent request, your department's training protocols for engaging with disabled veterans, service animals, and the appropriate use of less lethal force." He paused. "Because from where I'm standing, officer, it looks like you just assaulted a decorated Marine veteran for trying to manage his service dog in the face of your unprofessional agitation. And the Marine Corps takes a very, very dim view of that." The local police chief arrived minutes later, looking apoplectic. He and Colonel Matthews had a very brief, very intense, and very one-sided conversation. Officer Miller was immediately relieved of duty, pending a full internal affairs and city investigation. His badge and sidearm were surrendered on the spot. The Marine medical team carefully transported Gunny Rohr to the nearby military hospital for a full checkup, Valor riding calmly beside him in the ambulance. Colonel Matthews assured Gunny that Valor would be cared for and that all his legal and medical needs would be handled by the Marine Corps Legal Assistance and Veterans Affairs Liaison. The Marine convoy maintained its security posture until Gunny was safely away, and Officer Miller was formally taken into custody. The message was unequivocal. The incident at Oak and 7th became a local legend almost overnight. Officer Miller was ultimately dismissed from the police force after the investigation revealed numerous protocol violations and a pattern of excessive force complaints. The city implemented mandatory comprehensive new training for all officers on ADA compliance for service animals, de-escalation techniques, and protocols for interacting with veterans, particularly those with PTSD or visible disabilities. Gunny Rohr made a full recovery. He received a personal apology from the mayor and the police chief. The Sear-Fi Actual Network had once again proven its silent, powerful reach, demonstrating that the bonds of the Corps extended far beyond active duty, ready to mobilize with formidable speed when one of their own was unjustly harmed. Valor, of course, received extra treats and was hailed as a hero by Gunny's battalion buddies. It was a stark reminder to all: never underestimate an old Marine, his service dog, or the lengths his brothers and sisters in arms will go to ensure he is treated with the honor and respect he earned a lifetime ago, because when you mess with one Marine, especially one with a service dog named Valor, you might just find the entire Marine Corps showing up on your doorstep. Subscribe to Hidden Sparks if you believe our veterans and their service animals deserve unwavering protection and that true loyalty knows no bounds.